Hi there. So I'm going to get right into this because I'm really excited to share with you what I want to share today. And either I have gone completely off the deep end or I am on to something big. And so either way, I hope you're willing to stick with me and follow me through my unusual thought process. So a couple days ago, I shared how many of the supports that are available for educators and for parents and for kids are not as supportive as we truly need them to be. And no matter how amazing you are as a parent or as someone who works with kids, raising and educating kids is probably one of the most important and challenging jobs there is. So at some point along the way, you're going to need support. And you're going to need the right kind of support. And when we don't get the right kind of support, we just stop asking for support. And one of the things that has become quite evident to me in my job, because I'm in a role now where I don't have my own class, so I have the opportunity to visit other classes and to go around and visit other schools. So I'm seeing on a much larger scale what is going on with kids. And what I notice is that many kids are not being supported in the ways that they truly need to be supported. And the reason for this, I believe, is because educators and parents are not being supported in the ways that they truly need to be supported. So I was wondering why this is, because there's actually many, many beautiful people. There are many amazing ideas. There's many wonderful resources all out there. So why is it that we are feeling so unsupported? And what I identified is that there are all these elephants in the room whenever the conversation of kids comes up. And these elephants make it really, really challenging for us to get real with ourselves and with the people who are offering support about what we really need and to get really real about what kids really need. So I have identified 5 elephants. And what I want to do is expose these elephants, because these elephants often come in disguise as something helpful. And very often, they're not helpful. And before I get into sharing with you what these 5 elephants are, I want to say that we all have these elephants inside of us. We have all been on the giving and on the receiving end of each one of these elephants. So this is not to judge. This is just to bring these to our awareness so that we can see them for what they are, so that we can take their disguises off, and so that we can actually start addressing the elephants in the room. I don't have time to go into detail on each one. I'm going to do like a separate video for each of these elephants and talk about, you know, how they show up, what not to do with these elephants, what you can do to address these elephants, what the antidote is. But for now, I just want to do a really quick overview. All right, so ready? Elephant number 1 comes in disguise as the expert. And I'm not suggesting that there aren't experts out there, that there aren't people who have important things to say that are worth listening to. But what I'm talking about is often family, friends, people who are trying to help by offering their advice, usually based on their own childhood experiences. And while this is well-intentioned, very often that advice doesn't take into account the many, many complexities that may be going on and doesn't actually get to the root of things. So it's not that helpful. And when you take the disguise off, what it really is judgment. So usually this helpful expert advice comes with a hefty dose of judgment. And it usually can be felt even if it's very well disguised. So that's elephant number one. Elephant number two is what I like to call the theorist. And this elephant has usually one theory about what's going on, what's wrong with all kids, and what we need to do to fix it. So it could be social media is the problem. It could be video games are the problem. It could be food is the problem. And they usually latch onto one thing and they like to debate this theory. And so very often you get two theorists together and they debate against each other. And usually they're both saying very valid things, but in my opinion, this is just a distraction from looking at what really needs to be looked at. And usually whatever they're debating is just the symptoms, and it's not actually getting to the root of things. So when you take this disguise off of the theorist, what it is blame. It's, I don't want to look inside myself, so I'm going to blame something outside of myself. Elephant number three is what I call the illusionist. This elephant is in denial and likes to make excuses. And you'll hear this elephant say, boys will be boys, girls will be girls, kids will be kids. My kid is doing amazing. Nothing's wrong here, nothing to look at. This is one of the hardest elephants to break through or to remove the disguise from, because underneath the illusionist is guilt. And guilt is probably one of the most challenging emotions to face. Elephant number four, I like to call the realist. This elephant lives in the real world, and he or she believes that kids need to be treated the way that the world's going to treat them. And they think that, you know what, my childhood was rough, so, you know, everybody else's childhood should be rough too. And underneath this disguise, the reason why this realist elephant wants all kids to go through the hardships that they went through is because underneath this disguise is repressed childhood issues that they haven't dealt with. And so when we haven't dealt with our own stuff, it's really triggering to even think about making things better for kids of the next generation. And finally, another doozer, elephant number five shows up as the traditionalist. And the traditionalist is all about conformity and all about keeping the status quo. And this elephant likes to say things like, it worked for me. And the reason this elephant says that is because under its disguise is a whole bunch of beliefs. And because these are the beliefs that this elephant was raised on, everything that is real and true for this elephant is based on these beliefs. So everything about their identity is based on the beliefs that they were raised with. So therefore, anything that goes against those beliefs is challenging their very identity and their sense of reality. And so this elephant can be really, really challenging to call out. So those are my 5 elephants. I believe that if we aren't willing to look at each one of these elephants in ourselves and call these elephants out in others, then we're never going to be able to make the progress that we really need to make. And the thing is kids can sense these elephants. They're seeing them. They're seeing what we aren't seeing. They're seeing what we don't want to see, and they're reacting to them. And in some ways, they're trying to get our attention so we look at these elephants, because these elephants are not only affecting them, they're affecting us. And while I'm talking about all these elephants as it relates to kids, these elephants show up in all aspects of our lives, and they affect our ability to really live the way that we want to live, and to really get the kind of support that we really need. So what I'm going to do in the next few videos is I'm going to go through each one of these elephants in more detail, and I hope you're willing to stick with me for that. Okay, thanks for sticking around and following me through that, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks. Bye.